Welcome back to Zephyr Rapids. Quite a few changes have taken place since the last video. For one, the city has grown by quite a bit. There's an expansion in the southern olive plains here. As you can see here, there are a number of redwood trees that have been planted between this roadside and the bus station here, as well as the bus depot. I've also added, specifically doubled the number of crematoriums throughout the city. That area is developing very well. Mendoza is really the only trouble spot right now. There are a number of very ill individuals, as well as garbage piling up throughout various structures along the eastern edge of that section of the city. But if you notice this is called, let's see here, Forest Avenue, and it is by far the largest thoroughfare in the entire city limits. It goes all the way across the northern city limits to the western edge of the city limits, past the prison, all the way to these garbage incineration facilities and the two nuclear plants along the western edge of the 14 woodlands here. And I'll go ahead and follow that road back to Mendoza. The idea behind that is to increase garbage truck access to Mendoza proper. It's been an ongoing problem in this district, and I wanted to make sure that garbage collection is managed properly, because I don't want that to be an ongoing problem throughout Mendoza. It seems to be making people sick on a regular basis, and I don't want that. Although on that note, I've also built two new hospitals, Mendoza Public Hospital and another one in a North Banks expansion here, the North Banks Public Hospital, which, in addition to the original hospital built in the Olive Plains High Density expansion, now as you can see here, Peargrove, the district that I've demolished, actually grew into a tourism district almost overnight. Contains a number of hotels and casinos, Night Inn, Hotel Intercontinental, things of that sort. The one thing that hasn't changed is this strip of high-density residential buildings along the waterfront of the river here. I've also expanded, let's see, there's a fishing pier, a restaurant pier, and a jet ski rental down here on the waterfront along Parker Street, as well as two beach volleyball courts. The only problem is not a whole lot of people are using these facilities, these tourism facilities along Parker Street. And on top of that, for some reason, the marina, it attracts a high crime rate. So I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this waterfront entertainment area. I might actually demolish all of those eventually and just keep the main tourism district in Peargrove instead. These three waterfront facilities, or four I should say, along with the beach volleyball courts, all fall under the direct purview of Peargrove. That is part of the Peargrove district. Although that's done little to protect people at the marina, apparently. Stevens Landing has developed very well. South Banks no longer has the same issues as it had during the previous video. As you can see here, there aren't as many abandoned buildings, and customer availability, the problem basically solved itself as I demolished abandoned buildings and allowed them to rebuild. The same goes for the Tunis section here. Now, as far as Vasquez Park goes, it's suffering an identity crisis. It's the only area where I could find enough flat land to build the international airport, so that's what I did. I built the Zephyr Rapids International Airport in Vasquez Park, even though the original intention was to place it in the North Bank, specifically along this roadside here. I built that for the International Airport as a future site of construction, but instead I've placed the regional airport, the smaller airport, along that stretch of road, specifically the North Banks Regional Airport, which leads out from this cloverleaf intersection branching from the highway here. The rough border between the North Banks and Mendoza is along this western edge of the cloverleaf intersection. See the blue dot there? I'm drawing a rough line between Mendoza foothills and the North Banks. And that's also where I've built this, let's see here. Go ahead and go back to this. Yeah. I've zoned this entire road grid for office space. And I've zoned this one down here as a high-density commercial expansion for the North Banks. Although this particular zoned area, this road grid, also borders Stevens Landing, and in fact, this smaller section, if you cut it right about here in this corner, that road grid does overlap into Stevens Landing. So it's going to be interesting exactly what differences the building construction show as it begins to develop. It is fully watered, it is powered using the power lines. The total city population is nearing 100,000. I've reached the Megalopolis milestone at 90,000. I know everything is scaled down in a very similar fashion as the earlier SimCity games were. It's for the sake of simplicity, I would imagine. By scale, the city is at 100,000, but I would actually estimate that the total population for all of the districts is probably closer to anywhere between 3 and 4 million. I've also built another bridge leading into the North Banks here, specifically a 6-lane bridge with bus lanes on both sides. I have developed quite a number of bus routes throughout the city proper, leading through Meadowlark, and even through the 14 Woodlands along Forest Avenue here, so that people can better access Mendoza at their leisure. Part of the reason I put the regional airport in the North Banks was because of what I built here. This is the Colossal Order offices. It's a massive office building that's available through the, what's it called? It's available through the Unique Buildings tab after a certain point. And the way I see it, Colossal offices, at least in my personal headcanon, Colossal Order offices wanted to be placed next to the old money, so to speak, and that's what the North Banks is. Generally speaking, in the corporate world of Zephyr Rapids, Stevens Landing is viewed as being run by a bunch of upstarts, whereas the North Banks is where all the stability is. Now, whether or not that's actually true is left up to subjective measurements, but regardless, it is a reality as far as the citizens are concerned. Only within my headcanon. It isn't actually reflected in any game statistic, mind you, but that's right along the very edge of the North Banks, near the Stevens Landing border here. Now, I have expanded the city limits due north of Meadowlark and the 14 Woodlands here. This is going to be a township called Emerson. And what I'm going to do with this, you notice all the dense forest area up here? If you'll follow this blue dot, I am going to build Emerson diagonally along that point while it hugs the bank of the river here, facing Stevens Landing. And this small section here, let me go ahead and go to this district border here. Yeah, this here. That's the district I've painted out for Emerson. Up here is Meadowlark. Up here is the 14 Woodlands. 14 Woodlands, I've switched to an ore industry after I've developed it. They're going to be mining and processing ore in the 14 Woodlands, whereas Emerson, since it has the densest forest in the city limits, like I said, will focus on the lumber and timber industry, which I'll attempt to center in an industrial zoned area at this triangle here. See the red dot? Now, with luck, if I leave that forest untouched, there'll have plenty of raw materials to actually make use of that timber and lumber industry. In addition to that, I'm going to build a cargo rail depot in the 14 Woodlands that will either the 14 Woodlands or somewhere along the southern edge of Emerson, maybe bordering the actual line, so that it can directly access the rail line due east. It can follow the northern border of Meadowlark to the rail line, theoretically. At least that's what I'm planning to do. And that will allow all sorts of access to the rail line. The ore industry, the future ore industry in the 14 Woodlands, the agricultural industry in Meadowlark, and the timber industry in Emerson will all have rail access from that cargo port. The cargo ports are these things right here. I've got two of them bordering the South Banks. Cargo train terminal. Now, Olive Plains, that's where all the rich people live, at least as far as I'm concerned. Mendoza is where the average person would live. Meadowlark is where people want to get away from the city proper and just live a relatively quiet rural lifestyle. That's the entire point of that district. The same will go for Emerson, except it specializes in a different industry is all. Now, what I've also built... Actually, let me take a look at something really quick here. Are these schools at capacity yet? I hope not. Not quite yet. I've built a counterpart to the Desmond Evans secondary and primary academies here. The Mendoza equivalent is called the Spruce Valley Preparatory Academy and the Spruce Valley Elementary Academy, respectively. That should cover the capacity for educational needs in Mendoza, at least for the time being. I've also built a zoo. Not sure if I've mentioned that yet. I don't know how I feel about placing it directly next to the highway, but there is a sound barrier along every stretch of highway along a residential area in the city limits. So hopefully that'll help the animals from really being accosted by loud noises and whatnot. I can always relocate that zoo if necessary. But I wanted to place that in Mendoza because I've noticed that general happiness and well-being was particularly low in this district. Why not put a zoo there? That should help things out. I've also constructed a soccer stadium. Check this out. Now you can see the garbage icon there. That means garbage is piled up here. But as you can see here, the next game is the Zephyr Rapids FC versus Vermont FC. They've won one game and lost one game so far. So at least they have an even record. Let's hope they win against Vermont FC. The next game is at, let's see here, August 22nd, 2034. In game, it is, it's New Year's Eve in game, December 31st, 2033. So Happy New Year to the citizens of Zephyr Rapids, I suppose. Another thing that I have constructed out of, I always forget. Yeah, another unique building that I have constructed is the Cathedral of Plenitude. It would appear that there have been 35 visitors and 35 tourists over the last week. There have been a total of 70 visitors to the cathedral over the last week. Not bad. But there's something I've noticed about it. You may see that there are no crosses or other types of Catholic iconography along the structure. I find that very strange. I know what that actually looks like to me. It almost resembles a Mormon temple. I used to be Mormon, but I never said I was a very good one. I've got to be honest with myself and everyone else about that, but it doesn't change the fact that the architecture in a lot of ways reminds me of one of their temples. Regardless of that, it's still a cathedral, so let's call it a cathedral. Alright, with all of that said, and introductions aside, I think I'm going to unpause the game and let this begin developing. I want to hit the 100,000 mark. In fact, I'm imminently close to reaching that point. The thing about Vasquez Park, I might end up demolishing anything that's built up here. At least anything new. I want to keep the lumber industry strip. So you can see here, there's quite a bit of lumber industry in Vasquez Park. It was never my original intention to put the international airport up here, but I have made sure there are ample bus lines leading into the district, so it shouldn't have any problems. Now let's unpause and see how the North Banks develops.
Get your heart rate above 120. This is exciting. This offer is just for you because you deserve it.
There are 3 hospitals in the city right now, but I think it actually needs 4 or 5 with this population. Okay, it is now January 2nd, 2034, and the population, at least by scale, is 100,008 residents. Very good. I like that progress.
Even though I like it on Mars, I find myself missing things I never thought I would.
Oh, go ahead and pause here. I also built an expo center in Stevens Landing.
Still, I recently
Every major city needs an expo center. There's a good reason the Las Vegas Expo Center is one of the biggest and busiest expo centers in the world. In this particular case, it looks like there are, let's see here, 54 total visitors over the last week, if you count local visitors and tourists together. Oh, there is one other thing I forgot to mention. See the extra nuclear plant? That wasn't here during the last video. But apparently, the electrical capacity had been reached in terms of consumption throughout the city proper. Now, beforehand, I did the math. Between all 12 of the advanced wind turbines along the breadth of the main bridge down there, these here, and a single nuclear plant, between all 12 of those and a single nuclear plant, they were generating a total of 0.88 gigawatts of electrical power. With the addition of the new nuclear plant, the entire electrical grid is generating a total of 1.52 gigawatts of electrical power. That is a massive amount of energy that's being distributed throughout the entire power grid in Zephyr Rapids. That's not even including the supplemental power generated by all of the incineration plants here. I don't really count those as a broad statistic, mainly because those incineration plants are primarily used for garbage disposal. The electricity generated by them is mainly just a supplemental statistic. And you can see how much ground pollution it produces. Let me zoom in here. See how all the trees are dying around them? That's a devastating effect. The same thing happens with standard industry. I'll unpause here. I should mention, this is probably going to be my second to last video in the Zephyr Rapids City Skylines series. It's been a very successful run so far, in terms of how many people have viewed these videos, and for that I thank everybody for their interest. It's because of you that this series has been a resounding success for this channel at least. So I'd like to offer my sincere appreciation ahead of the final video in this particular series. That doesn't mean I'm never going to play City Skylines and upload it again. It just means that I've almost reached the end of the so-called Zephyr Rapids saga. Alright, looks like something is being built down here. Outlet shop. Okay. Okay. Let's pause and see how much energy is actually being distributed by this. No, these actually need to... Yeah, you know what? These actually need to reach into the zoned areas, so that's what I'm going to do right now. Okay. They just need to reach over the street a bit. There we are. That should cover it just about. Oh, wait, not quite. Yeah, right there. Boom. Alright, done. Let's close out of that. That's only a temporary measure to jog things along, so to speak. Yeah, you see this? The Vasquez Park commercial tourism expansion is already experiencing a problem. Let me go ahead and pause and zoom in on this. See this here? The Crest Resorts, not enough customers. Meaning, I might have to start demolishing all of that. In fact, I think that's what I'm going to do, at least later. Alright, just need to wait for that office section to start building. By scale, 100,343 citizens. I'm not liking how the garbage is piling up in Mendoza. What's the holdup here? I built a massive avenue specifically for garbage truck access. I know it can take a very long time for them to... Yeah, you can see the caravan here. There's also a very specific bus line that goes along the avenue as well. Stevens Landing is going to end up being a somewhat haphazard affair. As you can see here, a lot of the potential routes of construction are impeded by this rail line here, but that's okay. We can always expand due north as necessary, but it's going to be somewhat difficult to navigate and traverse by vehicle, I can say that much. There's going to be a bus line leading just about everything though, even Emerson. As soon as I start building Emerson, I haven't gotten to that point yet. Is there anything being built out here? Okay, yeah, actually there's something here. See that little square? Solutions Incorporated. Okay, something is being built. Very good, very good. What about the hospital? Alright, they've dispatched 5 out of 30 ambulances. Good, good. I'm liking it so far. Alright, slow but steady growth. Oh boy. Alright, I hate to do this, but I have to demolish and de-zone this entire section. This isn't going to go very well. I need to further stimulate development along the north banks and, to a lesser extent, the small corner overlapping into Stevens Landing here. And that's not going to happen if I have this huge swath of tourism, commercial buildings in Vasquez Park. Like I said, identity crisis. At the time, it made sense to me to have a lot of hotels near Vasquez Park. But seriously, why can't tourists just take a bus line down to Paragrove instead? After all, that's what it's dedicated for, and I don't think there's a robust enough tourism industry to justify this. I wasn't thinking very far ahead when I did this. I thought I was at the time, but I wasn't. So let me just admit that mistake and correct it right now. With that said, I have no idea what I'm going to do with this entire district, besides it being a specific hub for the international airport. It's worth noting that I can only build the international airport in Vasquez Park. There just wasn't enough level land anywhere else. Like I said before, the original plan was to put it in the North Banks, but unless I was going to use a landscaping tool to level a lot of land out, it just wasn't worth the hassle. So why not find some naturally level land elsewhere? Vasquez Park fit the bill perfectly. Sorry, everyone. Let's go ahead and start demolishing everything. Be careful I don't demolish a road. Okay. Now, the last time I did this, it didn't go over very well, but well, I need to stimulate development in the North Banks. A good start is to do this. Now that that's done, let's go ahead and de-zone that rectangle. Alright, yeah, right here. De-zone all of this. Let's go. I don't know what I was thinking here. This is going to take a little bit, but I'll get it done. I don't want Vasquez Park to compete with Stevens Landing and the North Banks. That's actually a very bad idea if I want them to develop properly. Let's keep dezoning this. Make sure I get all of the zoned areas while I'm at it. Yeah, I can picture a city council meeting related to this whole thing. Mr. Mayor, what in the fuck do you think you're doing? You're about to destroy our entire tourism industry in Paragrove in favor of some boondoggle in Vasquez Park. And you know, in spite of the harsh wording, that would be correct. Alright then. Now the office section. The question is, what exactly am I going to build up here in the future? Maybe more industry? That was the original intention for Vasquez Park. But I don't necessarily want it to specialize in the lumber industry anymore. That's the whole thing. So you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to do this. Because as you can see here, there was a building with an icon above it. Well, you can't see it now. The problem must have corrected itself, but the thing is, they're not going to have enough natural resources to operate this lumber industry up in Vasquez Park, at least not on such a wide scale. Down in Emerson, if I conserve the actual resources, it shouldn't be as much of a problem, but up here, well, I'm going to have to do something. So here is what I'm going to do. No commercial specialization. And, pardon me there, I yawned. And generic industry. Let's go ahead and switch it from the lumber and timber industry to generic, like the South Banks. After all, that was going to be my original intention. Why not stick to the plan, huh? Alright, otherwise Vasquez Park has remained unchanged, except in one regard. Let's go ahead. Let's see here. Smoke detector distribution, recycling, public smoking ban, which is in place everywhere in the city, meaning people can only smoke inside their vehicles while they're in transit or in their own homes. It's rather harsh, but I think it's fair. Taxation. No taxation differences. Big business benefactor. Let's nix that. Yeah. Alright, we're done here. Unpause. Well, not quite. Let me take a look at something really quick. What exactly is still zoned? Yeah, see that? Those large empty swaths? Those will now be filled with standard industry buildings. Go ahead and close that out. Unpause once more. I don't necessarily care about ground pollution up here. Oh, and every single one of those buildings are being replaced with standard industry. See those icons popping up? Alright. I guess that's that. I've essentially destroyed the timber and lumber industry in Vasquez Park. That is now exclusively going to be centered in Emerson as a future endeavor. Slow but steady growth at this time. By scale, 100,749 residents in the city limits. Why haven't the garbage trucks come out here yet? Come on now. Okay, that's a whole slew of ambulances going along that roundabout there. Look at that. I'm glad to know that they are reaching their destination, but wow. How busy is the hospital? Let's zoom out a bit. Look at that. 29 out of 30 ambulances have been dispatched, and 95 out of 500 beds are filled, which means that Mendoza Public Hospital is very busy right now, and for good reason. Look at all those illness icons. Well, that's why I built the hospital. I don't like it, but it's the only way I can think of to actually troubleshoot that problem. Alright, is anything developing along this extension here? Or expansion, I should say.
Gaze at a gazelle. Lock eyes with a lemur. Shake hands with a turtle.
Well, the outlet
At the
store has
city
been
zoo, you
built.
can experience
Wait,
the
Solutions
wild, wildest
Incorporated?
exhibition yet.
Oh,
Come
that's
down this
right.
weekend to meet our
I'm up here in
newest
the
addition,
office
a
park.
three-toed
Okay,
sloth named
okay.
Barbara.
That's
She'll
the
hook you with
outlet
her
store,
smile,
outlet
and hook
shop,
you again
right
with her
there.
curved toes, used to grasp
And
trees
this
in the wild.
is
After
Buy It
that,
All
take a gander
Shop.
at another new species.
This
A new type of
is
bird
another
previously
outlet shop.
identified as a different type
Okay.
of bird due to a zoological error. Fun for the whole family. Book now and get a free handful of pellets to feed the fish. Limit 4 per family while supplies last. We'll look forward to
Oh
seeing
my
you where the
goodness.
animals live in rooms painted to look like home. The
Pause.
City Zoo.
Let's look at student capacity.
There's nothing like
I
watching a
always
movie
spot
that takes you
check
to
that
another place or
statistic.
time. And there's no better place
Because
to
I do
watch
not
them
want
film
the
cinema.
education
And no
system to
better
be
time than the time
overwhelmed.
it takes you to get from where you are to where we are. You'll break box office records of fun as
Yeah,
you
this
take a
entire
trip into
road
Tinseltown
grid
Movie
here, it has
USA.
not yet been
Action cut
zoned,
quiet on the set.
but
Our
these two
crews
have
feature
been.
surfing fabric, guaranteeing
The South Olive Plains
that
expansion
high-pitched
here.
drone is normal. It's the sound your ears hear when there's nothing for your ears to hear here.
Alright, it is
So
now
come on down
January
and enjoy the movie
21st,
where
2034 in game. And we have a
This is
jet
Mars Official
incoming.
Radio with Panamasculine. I aim to please your musical needs.
The hell is this? What's going on here? Oh, I see the issue. Yeah, I see the issue. Okay. There actually isn't any connection. I need to fix that right now. Let's see here. How can I do this? Yeah, at first I thought I had reached capacity again for the total electrical grid, but no, that's not possible. Now, hold on. Let's see here. No. Yeah, there. A temporary solution is just to extend these power lines across the highway, due south, right there. Now, these power lines... Actually, right there. Okay. Didn't think that would be such a drastic change, but apparently so. Well, dang. Okay. 1 second. Well, wait, no. I don't need to extend the power lines any further. I know what happened here. The game started rebuilding the industry zone sections as standard industry, and after that all of the corresponding power connections between the structures were severed, meaning... Yeah, you get it. Okay. That plane is about to land at the Zephyr Rapids International Airport. That is a very green plane. Let's go ahead and examine it. 42 out of 200 seats are filled, and it is arriving. Well, what the hell, guys? There isn't much I can do about those blackouts, those isolated blackouts, until more buildings are actually constructed. That's the whole thing. Alright, it's taking off. 15 out of 200 seats are filled. What about this one here? 8 out of 200 seats are filled on that plane. No, I'm not building more power lines. I'm just going to have to let that work itself out. Now what about over here? What about the expansions in the North Banks? Well, slowly but surely. Alright, go ahead and Demolish that small extension. There. Okay. And this one here? Yes. Now there is a slight demand for commercial zoned areas, so that should help stimulate the expansions. Whoa, I don't want to demolish that. Hang on now. I was trying to inspect it. 1 visitor, 1 tourist. So that means a total of 2 visitors through the Colossal Order offices last week. Not that there's actually, well, technically, yes, there would be. Well, wait, what's this now? It's now called Layton Avenue, it would appear. It was called Forest Avenue. Is it also called that in the western section, I wonder? Layton Avenue, okay. So that entire avenue stretching all the way from the western edge of the 14 Woodlands to the eastern edge of the Olive Plains is now called Layton Avenue. That is by far the longest street in the entire city limits. It stretches all the way across the city limits. Unpause again. Where are the garbage trucks? This isn't cool. Come on now. Now they've picked up the garbage piled up at the stadium. See that? They're on the ball there. But not along this western swath of the Mendoza residential section. Not good, people. Not good. I don't think this is actually going to work itself out. But I know a way to fix it. At least somewhat. Wait a minute. There's no power at the airport? Alright. Alright, if you want to play it that way, we can play it that way. Let's extend the power lines. I should have known that wasn't going to work. This isn't exactly something I can wait out. Here, I'll just go ahead and extend it this far. And then connect it directly beside the firehouse here. Bam. Alright then. Now we're talking. Now, let's see. If I don't deal with this right now, Vasquez Park is going to die off. I can't have that. Go ahead and close that out. What's this? Oh, another plane landing. The airport's getting busier, but how much busier? Look at that. Passenger service last week, 74. So the international airport is in service. I've already connected the power lines. Oh, that's why that's not working. Okay, hang on. Well, son of a sea biscuit. Alright, connect it to a powered section. Yeah, okay. Now let's see what happens. Any day now. There we go. The power has come back on at the terminals. Everything's just fine. Now what's this? Uh-huh. Okay, I need to extend the power lines yet again. Across here. No, not there. Well, can I? Yeah, I can. Right up here to this toll booth. And you see the upper right corner there, that police station and firehouse, that's also unpowered. Temporary measure to fix that problem. Ah, damn. Messed that part up, didn't I? But it's not as if it isn't able to be fixed. What about the regional airport? How is that doing? Nobody's actually using it, at least not yet. Well... Oh, look at that. That looks nice, doesn't it? Rather ominous. Glows a sort of nuclear blue. Yeah, I don't want to go near that thing. Jeez, man. Okay. Now, I have doubled the number of crematoriums in the city since the last video, but there's still quite a few dead individuals cropping up. I suppose that should be expected in a city this size. Wait a minute. Pause. Pause right here. What's this? What's this now? Crime rate is extremely high in this small park. Now that's supposed to be in the good part of town. What's the deal, police? What's the deal, police force? I think there might be a drug deal or something going on in this park on a regular basis. You think it might want to, you know, nip that in the bud and deal with the problem? Get the detectives on the case. Come on. Chop chop. They'll get to it when they get to it. That's just unusual. I almost never see an extremely high crime icon in a leisure structure, like a park. Okay, well, the garbage collection icons are beginning to diminish, slowly but surely. I'm going to be in real trouble after I start seeing abandoned buildings because of it. Okay, garbage trucks have reached that. Good, good. Oh, but poor Vasquez Park, look what I did to it. That's completely on me. Should have thought ahead on this, but alright, at least the airport's still fully functional. Look at that. Passenger service last week, 192, which means that quite a number of people are using the international airport. That's important. Its success is important to me. This is a very loud district, Peargrove. All sorts of casinos and hotels crammed into a relatively small area. Although by virtue that there is a residential section, that is the only reason I've put schools in the same neighborhood. They're nearing capacity at this point. I wonder. There's one dedicated police station for Peargrove. How is it doing? Alright, 9 out of 10 police cars are dispatched right now, and 4 out of 20 holding cells are occupied. I would say they're doing fairly well. I mean, all of those schools and the police station and firehouse are dedicated for the Peargrove district, but technically they're right across the border into Stevens Landing. Not that it really matters. Yeah, if you look at it closely enough, they're in this Stevens Landing office park here. Those are some very nice looking buildings. Look at that. Must be fairly high land value. What about the Expo Center? Not bad. It's getting quite a number of people visiting there. Bus station, passenger service last week, a total of 44. Bus depot, buses in use, 116. What about this enormous mall that I built? You see, this is another unique building called the Grand Mall. The equivalent that I could think of is something like the Mall of America up in Minneapolis. But let me take a look at something really quick before I end the video. I'm curious about something. My overall goal in building the Grand Mall was to construct a so-called space elevator. That was one of the prerequisites for constructing a space elevator, building the Grand Mall. Let me find it again. That's not it. Where is it? Is it up here? No. Art Museum, Theater of Wonders, Sea and Skyscraper? No. High Interest Tower, Servicing Services Offices, Academic Library. While I would like to build one of those, I don't yet qualify. Level 4, Oppression Office, unemployment rate over 50%, which is never going to happen in my city. Grand Library, Business Park, Observatory. I do qualify to construct an opera house. Not that I'm overly enthused about that. Courthouse, crime rate over 50%. Again, if I can help it, that's never going to happen in my city. In fact, the crime rate has typically been very low throughout Cipher Rapids. I would even venture a guess that it probably has the most effective overall police force in its entire fictional nation. What am I looking at here? Transport tower? I'm not seeing it. Eiffel Tower? We're getting real life landmarks here. Hypermarket? No. I already have a Grand Mall. Department store? No. Cinema? I might build that later. Cathedral? I already have one. Chirp X launch site. Bit of a nod to SpaceX, I would imagine. Oh, shoot. Where did I see that? The space elevator. Oh, of course. It's in the monuments. It wasn't in the unique buildings. It was in the monuments the entire time. Alright, let me take a look. Space elevator. Construct an opera house. Alright, so it's in succession. I need to build multiple unique buildings to qualify for the space elevator. I need to find a place to put that opera house. Well, Stevens Landing already has the Grand Mall. So I think I'm going to put the opera house in the North Bank someplace. But where do I want to put it? Maybe along William Street here? Yeah, let's do that. Opera House. There we go. Bam, Opera House. But if I do that... Yeah, it's going to demolish a few power lines if I do that. I just need to make sure they extend from the Opera House to ensure there isn't to ensure the overall connection isn't severed. So, right there. That should help the North Banks a bit. Not normally my cup of tea in Opera House, but hey, it increases cultural influence throughout the city, and it offers a boost to the arts. Not that I'm overly enthusiastic about that, to be honest. I prefer more pragmatic things. Alright, I've done that. Now let's unpause. Opera House is now in the North Banks. I heard a plane. Is it coming to the municipal airport, I wonder? Or regional airport? I've neared the time limit for my recording at this point. Alright, the Opera House is operational. Let me double check something. It is watered. Okay, that's important. Pause. Can I build that damn space elevator yet? Construct the Opera House. Yes, I've done that. Well, I just need to wait and see if the conditions are met. It's going to be a fairly long video, but that's okay. I'm enjoying myself here, and I'm glad that anybody viewing it is as well. Or at least I hope that anyone watching this is enjoying it as much as I am. Let's see here. Yeah, no tourists or visitors yet. It's a very strange looking building to me. It almost... Yeah, that's very odd. What about this hot air balloon tour? Close out. Let's see here. Yes, I have constructed the Opera House.
I'm famous chef Tony McGoney, owner of Tony McGoney.
Well, I probably need to
Steakhouse.
wait and see how many people are actually visiting the Opera House.
Award-winning meat rum, it's from one place, Meaty Bits. No matter what you
Okay,
need,
we have
we
another
respect
high crime
big, go
icon.
by Sunset or 10-foot alligator
Pause.
or salty brine.
Actually,
Meaty
no,
Bits
don't
will
pause.
get you vast with a smile and completely without judgment.
The Spruce
So,
residence
if
is
it's good enough for
experiencing
Tony
a high
McGoney's
crime rate.
Steakhouse, why not be
There
good
are a
enough for
total
Joe
of
Boyd's
15
House?
people
Yeah.
living in the
Get in touch
house,
with Meaty Bits.
3
Tell
senior
Tony sent you.
citizens, 4
Meaty
adults,
Bits.
7
If
young
it
adults,
ever
and
was
1
alive,
teenager.
they can get it to
10
you
of whom
again.
are highly educated, 4 are well educated,
At
1 is
Sternberg,
educated.
your cars are more than just hunks of metal that take you from point A to
So
B.
what's going on in that
They are also
house?
composed
Who
of
is
industrial
doing
plastics,
what?
polymers, and others. We also
Not
know
that the
each
phenomenon
wax
is
indica that
widespread.
is
If it
more
were, I
important than
might
the car
actually
itself.
increase the
And that's why it
prison
will also carry
sentences
up
a
to
bit
300
using city
kilograms of human,
ordinances.
animal, or consumer goods carbon.
There's no need
The
for
climate
that
control
yet.
device brings the air temperature to 22 degrees Celsius. It's our way of making our cars comfortable for the majority of mammal species. In
I've only
fact,
got about
it is
2
a perfect
minutes
vessel
left in
for
the
transport
video.
from short to medium distances, and we believe that the price we are asking is a fair trade for the value transfer to the consumer. Still,
In game, it is
more than just
February
money.
21st, 2034.
This is Mars official radio.
Almost
I'm
10
Miss
years from
Escalade.
now in
It's time
game.
for another letter. This comes from Tony.
Pause. One
Hello,
more
Miss
thing.
Public Service. I've been a long-time fan of the great music you
Unpause.
play. Regarding our future educational system, I have an idea. If our kids start their training at age 4, they will likely
Well,
reach
so far I'm
sufficient
very
academic level to
satisfied
start
with how
their
the
lives
city
as
is
productive
going.
citizens by age 20. What do you think? Tony, your proposition is appealing, but I doubt that children can absorb abstract information any earlier than they already do today. Instead, I suggest
I've only
we
got
exclude
about a
subjects
minute
that
left in
don't
the
apply to
video.
life on Mars, like domestic science,
Let me
art,
double
and
check one
handicrafts,
more thing
okay?
before I log off. Yeah, it's not going to change. Maybe during the next video I will be able to construct the space elevator. Alright, with that said, I think I'm going to call this a wrap.